Boy, this one's going to be a fun one today. The Texans host the Buffalo Bills, 2 3-1 teams, two of the AFC's best, a matchup that could determine seeding later in the season when it comes to the playoffs. It's going to be a fun one. How do the Texans get it done and beat up on the Bills? How do the Bills get it done and topple the Texans, and who will get it done? I'll tell you right now. Powered by my friends at BetUS. YouTube 150 to try out BetUS and get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. So, how do the Houston Texans beat the Buffalo Bills in this matchup? Well, to me, this one is a three-part plan for the Texans. One of it's on offense, one of it's on defense, and one of it's on discipline. So let's start with the offensive part of this. Put it in the air, baby. I don't trust this rushing attack. Put it in the air. Execute with Nico Collins and Stefon Diggs and Tank Dell and get this ball in the air. Trust CJ Stroud to be one of the best quarterbacks in football. And this offensive line, they've had trouble run blocking. They have not been able to get things going, partly because of them, partly because of who the running backs are. Well, in this matchup, run enough, but win in the air. The Bills have some pretty impressive cornerbacks, but they're missing a starting safety. You should be able to attack the middle of the field and those linebackers. It feels like the Texans could really get this thing going through the air. Plus, I also think the Bills are going to score a little bit, so you may need to go back and forth with them a little bit. You're not doing that on the ground, so get that thing in the air. Now, a part of that is you got to trust this offensive line to pass block. Now, they were better against the Jaguars than they were against the Minnesota Vikings. If they can be better against the Bills than they were against the Jaguars, you kind of start to see how they can get this thing in the air, move the ball through the air, and put some points on the board as well. In this one, I like this matchup for the offensive line. The Bills are missing two of their best players on the defensive line. No Ed Oliver in this one, and Von Miller is suspended. Greg Rousseau is the guy that you got to watch out there on the edge, but I believe the offensive line can hold up long enough to get CJ Stroud and these wide receivers going. So we're going to go keep it in the air. Over on defense, don't try to do too much on Josh Allen. Don't try to get out of your comfort zone against Josh Allen. Look, he's remarkable. He's one of the best quarterbacks. He extends plays, and he'll, like a extreme sports player, take that thing all the way to the sideline and then just let it fly. So don't try to do too much. Don't get too exotic, too out of what you have been doing as a defense. You got to stop the run, okay? So stop the run like you have been stopping the run as a team. And look, Allen is going to be able to get some plays off because he can use his legs, extend some plays, and maybe even take off with the football. But he's missing his best wide receiver. His outside wide receivers are nothing to write home about. Yes, you've got to prep for Josh Allen, but you've got to stay within yourself. Don't try to be a hero, make a big mistake, and let the Bills get in on this thing. That, to me, is the defensive approach. It sounds a little simplistic, but just kind of be the Houston Texans. I mean, the defense last week against the Jaguars, it's the Jaguars, so I understand that. But last week against the Jaguars, they forced a couple of field goals, and outside of the quick change, they only allowed one scoring drive against Jacksonville. So, hey, clean up some of the things that you didn't like from Jacksonville and be the Texans defense. Don't try to play hero ball. Don't try to totally change who you are as a defense. Just take care of your business. I don't believe that the Bills have enough offensive firepower in the air to beat you. Now, look, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox at the tight end spot, they scare me a little bit for the Texans. But again, hey, trust your defenders who defend those interior guys like the tight ends, the slot receiver, Curtis Samuel, filling in for Khalil Shakir in this one. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to be a hero. And the last one's discipline. Okay, stop the penalties. Stop shooting yourself in the foot. Don't extend drives for the Buffalo Bills. Don't make it tougher to extend your own drives on offense. One of the most penalized teams in football. You can survive that when it's the Chicago Bears, when it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. You cannot survive that when it's the Buffalo Bills in town. If you extend drives for the Bills, they will make you pay with points. If you do not take care of your business on offense and make it longer than it needs to be, you will keep yourself from putting points on the board. So show a little discipline on offense. You'll be able to put points on the board. Speaking of points on the board, I really like points on the board in this one. I already told you this week over at BetUS that I got the over. I like to go into the halves of these and just kind of see a team total for either of these. I like both of them, actually. So I'm going to go with the Texans over 10.5 in the first half. We're going to get, okay, give me up there. Let's just go ahead and put 60 on this one. Gets me that 50 win when the Texans score a couple of times there. It's that easy at BetUS, and you're going to get a 150% bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit when you use the code YouTube150. That's YouTube150 to get that 150% bonus up to $2,000. And it's so simple. And there's so many different things to wager on, from first halves to games to quarters to player props. You'll love BetUS. Use that code YouTube150. So talk about how the Texans beat the Bills. How do the Bills topple the Texans in this one? Well, Josh Allen's awesome, and he's going to need to put on Superman's cape in this one. His best wide receiver is missing from this one. Khalil Shakir is not going to play in this one due to injury. Now, they've got a decent backup in Curtis Samuel, so it's not like you have like a total inability to replace what Shakir brings to the table, but Curtis Samuel ain't Shakir. So Josh Allen may have to put the cape on a couple of times. I don't love his outside wide receivers, Mac Hollins and Keon Coleman and Marquise Valdez-Scantling. And I don't love those guys and this matchup for them. So he may have to be Superman, running the ball a little bit, getting the ball over the middle to Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Samuel when he can be successful over the middle. They throw the ball to James Cook quite a bit, but ultimately Superman is going to have to avoid that crazy Texans pass rush, bringing the heat off the edge, some of the push up the middle that the Texans have been able to get through a handful of games, and he'll have to extend plays, get his guys open, and then make plays with his feet. Superman's got to put on the cape if the Bills want to win this one. I would say it's a little bit easier if they had Khalil Shakir, but they don't. So Superman, put the cape on. That's how the Bills can win over there on offense. Defensively for Buffalo, force the Texans to run the football, and when they can't, take advantage of it. So the Texans have had issues running the football. Past 2 games with running backs, over 30 carries, just over 100 yards. You can't survive like that. A lot of second and longs, third and longs for this Texans team the past few weeks. They can't run the football early on early downs. So when they get behind the sticks, Jacksonville didn't do a good job of taking advantage of it. They didn't tee off with some blitzes or some disguises and make it difficult on CJ Stroud. So force the Texans to run the football. And when they do, take advantage of their inability to run the football if you're the Buffalo Bills. That's their approach on defense. And eventually you would think that a good defense like Buffalo would force the Texans into a mistake or two, and then they could take advantage of that as well. The Bills coming off of a bad one. That's not the Baltimore Ravens going out there to play them from a rushing attack standpoint in this one today. It's the Houston Texans. No Joe Mixon in this one. The offensive line hasn't been run blocking well. So if you can force the Texans to run the football and then take advantage when they fail, that's how Buffalo can get this thing done as well. So told you how the Texans win. Told you how Buffalo wins. Now I'm going to tell you who wins this matchup. It's a close one. With the odds makers, you saw it there on BetUS, where you can use the code YouTube150. You saw it there. It's close. It's a pick 'em. It'll be around that for, I would think, most of the time, right up to game time. I like the Texans in this one. Earlier in the week, I liked the Bills in this one, but I thought Khalil Shakir was going to play. He's not going to play in this one. I like the Texans in this one. I like the Texans 27-24. 27-24. It's a close one. You probably need that last second drive to get it done if you're the Texans, but 27-24 in this matchup. I like the Texans gutting this one out. Offensive line plays well enough. Defense wreaks havoc. They tug on Superman's cape enough to keep Josh Allen and the Bills from winning this one. What say you? Let me know in the comment section down below. what you believe is the key to each team winning in this one. I don't really care if you're a Bills fan. You don't need to send me the key. I know what your keys are. Hey, Josh Allen, that's the key. Okay. All right. If you're a Texans fan, what's the key to winning the game for the Texans? Let me know in the comment section. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, don't forget to visit our friends at BetUS. Powered by BetUS is this video, and you can power up your first deposit. YouTube 150 is the code. That first deposit will get you a 150% bonus up to $2,000 when you use the code YouTube 150. YouTube 150 is the code. Use it at our friends at BetUS. You won't be disappointed. Get into the action and make it a little bit more interesting when you watch this one. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Happy game day, and we'll talk post-game right here on YouTube.